Thursday. Going to have a good show today talking about Ryan Tannehill and some Tanna stats for what Ryan Tannehill has been doing over 16 games as Titan starter and where he ranks among the NFL quarterbacks in the 4 most important quarterback stats. I found this very interesting this morning when I was checking out some of Teron Davenport's work at ESPN.com, where Ryan Tannehill ranks in the 4 most important NFL quarterback stats. So we'll discuss that. We'll talk about which we think is most important of these Ryan Tannehill stats. Then we've got some Bengals talk. Is the fan base viewing this Bengals game as an automatic win? I kind of feel that way. So we'll discuss some of that during the show as well. And then there was a lot of burger conversation with Derrick Henry and Will Compton on social media yesterday. So we will give our spin on that. And of course, Zach, it's the Magic Bucket. And the BioPure Music City Magic Bucket has all of its stickers on there now that we got caught up from last week. So the BioPure Music City Magic Bucket will end today's show. And who knows what it's going to make us do this week, as last week it made you bark. And bark you did.
And Cinnamon Challenge. I got doubled down last week. You didn't have to do anything.
That's true. You're right. I got off really easily. I didn't think about that.
Hopefully the Magic Bucket comes and bites you this week. But who knows? Probably we're both going to get bitten. So before we get started, though, on this Thursday, this Titans Thursday, we please ask you, we're going to have a good show. A lot to diagnose on the way that this offense is playing. A lot of Titans talk. Plus, I'm really curious. We're going to get a good video. That Will Compton video, everybody can relate to. And I didn't realize King Henry loved Wendy's. There's probably another endorsement deal from Old Spice coming his way.
Maybe that's just Derrick Henry playing chess. And
while everybody else is eating burgers.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that is the case. Bottom right corner of your screen, if you're watching on Periscope/Twitter, you'll see those 3 little dots. You can retweet the broadcast that way. Please share the show. We need to pop up in your Twitter followers timeline. What's going on YouTube? What's going on Twitch? We broadcast live on all of the platforms, including Facebook. More people will pile in over the next 5 to 10 minutes as you guys do. Please share the show. Share the broadcast. Bottom left corner of your screen, if you're watching on Facebook. Share now to public. Sharing is caring. The Titans Tanna stats. We got to dive right into them.
Yep, it's going to be a fun show. Let's get it going officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at A to Z Sports. And you like our Facebook page at A to Z Sports Nashville. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, and we go live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time. Got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for our show, for our business, and for you guys. Renters Warehouse Nashville, the professional landlords in the Nashville area. RentersWarehouse.com is where to go to find out how much your home can rent for. Mandu, the Pulse of Fitness, where 1 15-minute workout equals 5+ hours in the weight room. Mandu.com, your first workout is free. The Tucker Agency, saving you on your personal insurance at TuckerTN.com in the Nashville area. Calvin and Subtle in the mid-state. CalvinandSuttle.com is where to go for your new hardwood floors and finishings. And the Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. And Zach, later on today, we're going to have something special from the Bone and Joint Institute, where we're going to talk with Dave, the lead rehab doctor over there at the Bone and Joint, who's a former NFL offensive lineman, that'll tell us a little bit about what Taylor Lewan's rehab will look like, as he had his ACL surgery on Tuesday. So we got that coming from the Bone and Joint Institute, a little doc talk segment coming up at 11 o'clock Central Time today. So let's get this thing going. Zach, Ryan Tannehill has been nothing other than phenomenal since taking over for Marcus Mariota in week 7 of last year. The Titans have been rolling. They've been scoring a bunch of points, and they've been looking really good doing it.
Yeah, they have. And Ryan Tannehill, he went on the Players Tribune and wrote an article about that, about the highs and lows. And, football players, especially quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks that are drafted in the NFL, the pressure that they go through, we don't even know. Like, I can't even imagine, right? Because Ryan Tannehill was supposed to be the face of the Miami Dolphins franchise. And he was for a little while, but he couldn't get the job done because of maybe player, personnel, coaching staff. A lot of things went into that. And he got a second opportunity. And if you look at his story is so unique because when you become a backup, okay, you have to work tooth and nail to get into a starting role. And Ryan Fitzpatrick is really kind of an anomaly on how many times he's been able to do that. But the difficult part is, and this is what Fitzpatrick's going through, is there's always another guy. There's always a new draftee, a young stud coming up that's played college football, that's faster, that it doesn't have the experience, but it has the outlook and hope from a fan base. And Ryan Tannehill really surpassed the Titans' face of the franchise in Marcus Mariota, and he's taken this league by storm. And I think we can all agree, Ryan Tannehill has surprised every single solitary NFL football fan. And the good thing is, for Titans fans, he plays for the Tennessee Titans, an unknown small market team that doesn't get a lot of notoriety. Him and Derrick Henry are doing their best to kind of put more spotlight on the city of Nashville and their team.
Yeah, and the Titans are 5-1 this time through 6 games last year. They are 2-4 and searching for answers. They found the answer in Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry, obviously, too, who we just named the AFC Offensive Player of the Month. But I was checking out some Teron Davenport's work at ESPN.com, and I found something that I did not necessarily realize. I had a feeling that Ryan Tannehill ranked pretty highly when it came to a lot of quarterback stats across the NFL. Now that Tannehill has played 16 regular season games with the Tennessee Titans as the starter, Ryan Tannehill, in the 4 most important quarterback stats in the NFL, is in the top 5 of all 4 stat categories. And he's the only guy that's ranked in the top 5 in all 4 of these stat categories, including quarter QBR, which is it's the more strict quarterback rating. Quarterback rating, Ryan Tannehill's in like the 100 teens, but QBR, that's out of 174.3, that's 5th in the NFL. Completion percentage, Tannehill is 3rd with a really nice completion percentage of 69.1. You see yards per attempt, he leads the NFL in 8.85 and is almost a full half yard higher than number 2, Jimmy Garoppolo, on that list. And then the touchdown interception ratio, Ryan Tannehill sitting there ranking 5th at 5.29 touchdowns per interception. He's thrown a bunch of touchdowns. He's thrown just 8 interceptions in 16 games as the Titans starting quarterback, where I see he averaged 12.5 interceptions per 16 games with the Miami Dolphins. So the numbers that he's putting up, nobody else is doing this. No other quarterback is able to crack the top 5 in all 4 of these really important, which I think the 4 most important QB stats when it comes to ranking NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah, and these are some glaring stats. I mean, I think that a lot of people are – I am surprised on how high he is on these lists, and these are important, right? I mean, whether it's efficiency, whether it's QBR, touchdowns are always better than interceptions. And I think that we'll ask what the most important stat here is in a second. Throwing interceptions hurts your team, right? It's the number one thing to help your team lose football games. And Ryan Tannehill, and we'll toss this back up there, Patrick Mahomes, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson. All 4 of those quarterbacks, if you add Tannehill in there, the Ravens right there at the divisional round last year. Aaron Rodgers, he was in the NFC Championship game. Drew Brees, he was in the playoffs, and he's a Hall of Famer. Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl, and Ryan Tannehill was in the AFC Championship game. That TD to INT ratio, I think, is big, and he's been very efficient there. And that's something that a fan base will roll their eyes. It's like Jameis Winston, the king of the INT, right? Mm-hmm. We'll talk about the king of burgers. Jameis Winston is the king of the interception. That drove, and I know this, drove Bucs fans crazy because he kept on setting his team up to lose. The best part about Ryan Tannehill, he sets his team up to win, and he sets Derrick Henry up, the best player on the football team, to thrive.
Yeah, king crab leg of INTs coming in from Rob, talking about Jameis Winston. But seriously, and ESPN.com's article with Teron had 5 quarterback stats compiled and Ryan Tannehill was top 5 in the 4 that we've showed you. The 5th stat was passing yards. Ryan Tannehill is 12th in passing yards, but I absolutely throw the passing yards stat out. I don't view that as very important because the top 5 leaders in passing yards over the last 16 regular season games, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Derrick Carr, Matt Ryan, and Ryan Fitzpatrick. Those aren't playoff quarterbacks, especially over the last 16 games. Now, Jared Goff and Derrick Carr playing much better this year. Somehow Ryan Fitzpatrick finds his name in the top 5 of quarterback of QBR, and then right there in the top 5 of yards, but loses his job to Tua. But the passing yards is not important.
Well, no, because you try to throw yourself back into a football game a lot of the times. And those guys like Dak, he did it all season before he broke his ankle. Matt Ryan's been doing that all season and losing at the end. Fitzpatrick has done that a couple of times. So, yeah, you could try to throw – and it's great for fantasy, but
Sure.
you throw yourself back into the game. Kirk Cousins has been doing that a lot this year, of trying to throw his team back into the game because they're behind. You can't run the football. You can't control the clock. So I'm with you. I will say, and this is a little side note, and we had an ongoing conversation about Jared Goff. Jared Goff, you watch him play, he's a good quarterback. That guy is a good quarterback. He can throw the football. He's accurate. I like Jared Goff. The more I watch him, the more I trust his arm, which is weird because he has less weapons. But I'm with you. That stat, I'm glad we threw that out because I think it carries less weight.
Well, and Titans for life is correct. Passing yards reflect that you're usually behind, right? And as Rob says, what's important is not turning the ball over and winning games, and that's exactly what Ryan Tannehill has been able to do over 16 games as the Titans starting quarterback. So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to get you guys more involved. We'll throw these stats up there again. We want to ask you guys which of these 4 Ryan Tannehill stats is most important. Which of these 4 Ryan Tannehill stats is most important? But first, I'm going to tell you guys about Renters Warehouse Nashville, the professional landlords in the Nashville area. RentersWarehouse.com is where to go to find out how much your home can rent for. If you've lost your job or lost a portion of your income and you need extra cash flow, you need extra revenue, Renters Warehouse Nashville can help you out and help you find that where you might not have thought it was there. RentersWarehouse.com is where to go. There's so many different ways you can use them and get creative and giving your family some extra mailbox money. Mailbox money is a great thing. It's also a great way to earn long-term equity. RentersWarehouse.com is where to go.
A to Z Sports, don't forget, we've teamed up with MyBookie, code MyTitans to double your first deposit. You put in $40, you have $80 to play with. You put in $500, you have $1,000 to play with. We've got our MyBookie Best Bet coming out each week, but use MyTitans. That's the promo code. Sign up today. We've teamed up with them all year long to give back to our Titan fan base that loves A to Z Sports.
Exactly. So which of these 4 quarterback stats is most important for Ryan Tannehill and the Titans? So I'll throw this up here again because we have some people that are saying that the red zone efficiency and red zone touchdown rate is most important. But we're talking about these 4 specifically because red zone efficiency also is a lot of Derrick Henry. It's a lot of the offensive line. It's a lot of having big body catching or guys who can have combat catching targets like A.J. Brown, Jonnu Smith, Corey Davis, who can go up and get it in the red zone. And I believe I've seen that Derrick Henry leads the NFL since 2016 with 19 one-yard touchdown runs. That's a crazy stat. So QBR, completion percentage, yards per attempt, and touchdown to interception ratio, which of those 4 stats is most important for Ryan Tannehill? Zach, what are you seeing in the comment section right now?
A lot of people saying touchdown to interception ratio. We talked about this a little bit. Hunter's saying turnover ratio, and it's not even close. And he's got second. Touchdown to INT ratio right there. Darius says the same thing. One thing we knew about the old Titans is they couldn't score touchdowns, and Ryan Tannehill is doing that. Jared Hicks says the same thing. Cards Titans Grizz says QBR, so he goes a different way. Donald says win-loss ratio is, but he's going to go with touchdown INT
Win-loss ratio is pretty good too because I believe they're like 14-4.
Yeah, Bobby agrees with touchdown to INT ratio. That means you're scoring and not turning the football over.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Rob says the same thing. Our man Jarrell, who thinks I'm a big douche, thinks the same thing, but loves Austin. Loves Austin.
I'm so dynamic.
He is a dynamic character on this show.
So let me say something about the touchdown interception ratio real quick, because Marcus Mariota had a pretty good touchdown to interception ratio. But that didn't help the Titans take the next step as an entire offense. Marcus Mariota had a good TD to INT ratio because he was afraid to take chances and to throw the ball in the tight windows, but it still looked good statistically. It was still fairly high. Now, he didn't score as many touchdowns or near as many touchdowns as Ryan Tannehill in this Titans offense is doing. So that's just the one thing I've said I want to say about TD to INT ratio is we've seen Mariota do it well, but Tannehill is doing it way better than where Tannehill's at. All
right, I have my answer, and my answer is not touchdown to INT ratio.
Okay.
My answer is completion percentage. And the reasoning behind that is two things. And if you look at this, first and foremost, the most important and the best attribute you can have as a quarterback is accuracy, getting your playmakers the football. And that was his problem in Miami. He didn't have playmakers that when he did get the football, he didn't have A.J. Brown to run 60-plus yards for a touchdown, right? And one of the other reason why I pick completion percentage is because of yards per attempt. So that tells me, and I don't think yards per attempt, that's attempt, right? Attempt. You're attempting.
Not yards per completion.
Right? The big statistic is completion percentage, because that means that the play is executed properly, where the completion is made. It's not just an attempt. You're not just throwing a Hail Mary or throwing it out of bounds or anything like that. So because he is really high in yards per attempt, that tells me that he's completing those passes. So that's my number one, completion percentage. I want my quarterback to be accurate. And that tells me every time if he throws the ball 10 times, 7 times is going to be complete. And then on top of that, it's telling me he's not throwing interceptions and he's throwing the ball deep downfield, or at least short, to making his playmakers make plays. So that, to me, it's definitely not, and I wouldn't even go touchdown INT ratio, I think would be third in my book. But number one for me is completion percentage.
All right, so let's read some comments. Elizabeth, who's the Magic Bucket MVP, just going to throw that out there, says none of those other stats could have happened without completions, which is technically
ding, 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 ding.
Brandon says Tannehill's a silent assassin with the way he distributes the ball. Completion. Eric saying him and Zach are agreeing on something. Miles says Tannehill's a great runner, but stays in the pocket under pressure. Mario left the pocket too much. Talking about that. Bimo says, I think looking at the other 4 names in each category is telling of which stat has more value, which I think is interesting. So let's bring it up. Let's look at what Bimo is talking about right here, and let's look at completion percentage. Drew Brees, Derrick Carr ahead of Tannehill, then Garoppolo and Deshaun Watson right below Tannehill. When it comes to QBR, it's Jackson, Mahomes, Brees, Fitzpatrick, Tannehill, and then you get Stafford, Carr, Winston, and Garoppolo in yards per attempt. And TD to INT ratio, that's where you've got your Hall of Fame / MVPs with Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Pat Mahomes, and then Tannehill. So with Bimo's logic, he says TD to INT ratio, I think is what he's getting at, should be most important. How do you feel about Bimo's logic?
I still don't think it's first, because and I understand and appreciate his logic, but completions, that is the key, combined with long, and this is something that the Titans, and Bimo knows this because he watches the Titans, is used to, they never even attempted downfield throws, right? So you're telling me that they're top 5 in attempted downfield throws and they're top 5 in completing all throws. Completing, right? It's the completion of that. So I respect Bimo. I think this is the reason why we brought all these stats up, and kudos to Teron Davenport for writing this article on ESPN.com. I think that we brought all of these stats up because they are unique and they're valued. I just value completion percentage more.
Yeah, we're asking what's the most important stat out of these four for Ryan Tannehill. Jarrell says Teddy Two Gloves can complete passes all game, but can he score in the red zone?
And Jarrell, that's why. And if
Yeah.
you listen up, pal, is if you combine that with the other statistic of yards per attempt, in which Ryan Tannehill is number one, he ain't Chad Pennington.
Yeah,
he ain't Teddy Two Gloves.
Teddy Two Gloves, Jarrell. I love it. I love the nickname because it's got the alliteration there. So A to Z Sports, we're gonna work through this. I still have not yet answered the question. We have a chicken and an egg situation here, Zach. Before I give my answer and we talk more about these Ryan Tannehill stats, tell the people about Calvin and Subtle.
Yeah, Calvin and Subtle can save you money on your new hardwood floors. And it's cost effective in a time that is kind of unknown, but this is outside the box this holiday season. Don't get the traditional gift, but upgrade your house. You've probably been locked in your house with the coronavirus the entire 2020. I think we're all ready for 2020 to be in the rearview mirror and say, look, we're one step closer. Obviously, next week, we're all awaiting a big decision in our country where that goes. But you go next year, upgrade your house. You need to change your surroundings to kind of change your life. Sometimes that helps. Hardwood floors can do that in your house. Rip up that old carpet. Call 615-448-6414. That's 615-448-6414 or online at calvinandsubtle.com.
A to Z Sports, mybookie.ag, code MyTitans, and double your first deposit. I'll say this, a really good bet at mybookie.ag so far this season has been Ryan Tannehill over-under touchdown passes. Typically, his over-under and touchdown passes in a game is set at 1.5, and that over's good money. I've won that bet a couple times this year. Use code MyTitans and mybookie.ag to double your first deposit. So we're talking about these stats, Zach. And
Are you going to give an answer?
Yeah, I'm going to give an answer. Okay. Look,
no. You have to explain yourself. I get that, but this chicken and the egg thing is concerning because I don't know where you're going with it.
Well, it's because it's based off of your answer. It's the chicken and the egg because you say completion percentage and I say yards per attempt. Because that's where the chicken and the egg comes into play. And it also is a chicken and the egg because of Derrick Henry's impact too. Because how many times have you heard the national narrative of Ryan Tannehill's this team's MVP? And then you hear the other side of it, well, no. Ryan Tannehill's only good because of the Derrick Henry running game threat. And you're like, no, but Derrick Henry also had Marcus Mariota, and he wasn't as good there. Ryan Tannehill's why Derrick Henry's been as good. So there's the chicken and the egg there, and it's a chicken and the egg when it comes to completion percentage and yards per attempt. Because, yes, I think the yards per attempt is the most important stat for Ryan Tannehill because of how this offense is structured. The Titans have the most explosive and dynamic offense in the entire NFL. A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry lead the NFL in the last 2 years in 50-plus yard touchdowns with 5 apiece. And all of A.J. Brown's have been through the air. A couple of Derrick Henry's have been screen passes. So you look at what Ryan Tannehill in this Titans passing game offense, he's by far head and shoulders above number 2 Jimmy Garoppolo in yards per attempt by almost a half yard. That is such a massive difference when you take in how that stat is carried, that the most important stat, Zach, for Ryan Tannehill is yards per attempt, which makes his completion percentage look even more impressive because he is throwing the ball down the field so much. But that's what makes this offense so difficult to guard because now you have to respect the deep ball, but you also have to make sure Derrick Henry doesn't gash you. And that's why it puts defenses between a rock and a hard place. So that's my answer.
Well, what came first?
The chicken and the egg. That's what I'm saying. Is like that's the point. Is that
but you're saying one came before the other.
They both impact the other.
But you're saying one comes before the other, right? So you're saying as I understand, you're saying yards per attempt comes before completion percentage. So is yards per attempt the chicken or the egg?
I don't know. That's the hard part about the discussion. But why I think it's the yards per attempt is because completion percentage, like you can manipulate completion percentage on its own. You can't manipulate yards per attempt. Yards per attempt is impressive.
But it's attempt.
I understand.
It's not completion. It's not yards per completion.
I
Right?
understand.
So when he throws it 50 yards out of bounds, or he doesn't, Khalif Raymond doesn't catch it, or, the interception, right? The bad interception he threw against the Texans, that was counted towards yards per attempt. That's not good.
I get that.
Right? So that's where you, I think, have slipped up.
No.
Because it's attempt. That's where you've messed up. I'm going with the real deal completion.
But Zach,
right? When I say completion, more times, I would say 90% of the time, a completion is for positive yards. Sometimes it is for negative yards. But an attempt doesn't mean anything. An attempt means you tried. It doesn't mean that it was completed. Right. That's why I value completions, because it means moving forward.
Zach,
attempt,
you're misunderstanding.
You tried.
Yes, and look how high his yards per attempt. So even when he missed it, even when he did not complete the pass, there's that's showing you his yards per completion is probably 15.
But it doesn't matter if you don't catch it. It's an incompletion.
But that's just showing the ability of how explosive your offense is. That's why I think it's impressive. That it being his yards.
Also, how many of those? Here, I'll ask you the question. You brought it up. Completion percentage, you mentioned dump downs, those account for it. How much of this been on the playmakers and not Ryan Tannehill? The slant pass to A.J. Brown was great, but A.J. Brown did a lot of that work.
Yeah, but it's because he caught it in stride and timing. And but you're not wrong on that.
The screen pass is the same way. Ryan Tannehill went from A to B for about 5 yards, but Derrick Henry did the majority of the work. Jonnu Smith.
The screen pass is probably one of the hardest things to execute because it takes so many nuanced things. It takes Ryan Tannehill's timing and the ability to manipulate the defense by moving his eyes to set up the screen to throw back to. It's not like Derrick Henry and the offensive line and the quarterback and the wide receivers. A screen pass to be successful takes a lot of things to be right, including the type of coverage the defense is in. So I don't think you can, that's a part of it, sure, but the majority is not screen passes. I still think the most impressive thing is the ability for Ryan Tannehill to be nearly a half yard ahead of number 2 in the NFL when it comes to yards per attempt. That he's making the Titans offense so dynamic with his ability to throw accurately down the field. And so that's why I say they go hand in hand. But completion percentage by itself can be manipulated. Look at the college game. Look at a lot of the young quarterbacks. Tom Brady, for a lot of years in New England with that quick passing offense, he had a manipulated completion percentage of 72% completion because he was throwing 3 to 5 yard routes, where Tannehill is not throwing those short routes, but he still has a high completion percentage and an incredible yards per attempt. That's why I say the yards per attempt.
Well, and at the end of the day, that's why we brought these stats up. And because they all showcase why Ryan Tannehill is playing the way that he is. And that's what we do. We watch these games on Sunday, everybody does. And then we diagnose what changed, right? I think that's the big question mark. Did Ryan Tannehill always have this in him? Or is this just the perfect storm of team, roster, coaching staff, and situation?
Yes.
I don't know.
I think a lot of
$1 million question that we'll never find out. Or is this just because Adam Gase is a terrible coach?
Yes. Yes. That's exactly what it is. Because what has Adam Gase done without Peyton Manning? Nothing. Somebody saved Sam Darnold. I have a theory that the only reason why the Jets have not fired Adam Gase is because Adam Gase, being the head coach for this long, is helping them get Trevor Lawrence. And by firing Adam Gase, maybe they win a couple games like the Dolphins did last year, and they dropped the 5th, even though they still got Tua. They lost out on Joe Burrow. And
so maybe Sam Darnold. All right, here's a quick thought.
Yeah.
You know where Sam Darnold should go?
Where?
He should be the incumbent to Drew Brees in New Orleans. If they pick Trevor Lawrence, if I'm Sam Darnold, I hitch my wagon to Sean Payton as quick as I possibly can. That is his best scenario, in my opinion. I think it's a perfect team. Sam Darnold with his arm, I feel like the same type of style. I think is a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I mean, going from Adam Gase to Sean Payton is literally like winning the lottery.
Yeah, it is. From being a homeless man.
Yeah, Titans Flight brings up another good one, but kind of scary too. The Colts. The Colts would be a good spot for Sam Darnold to turn to.
Because you don't get that type of young quarterback coming off of a rookie contract that has just been a part of a bad organization. I also think Trevor Lawrence, I don't know if he has this in him, but to pull an Eli or John Elway and say, I'm not going to the Jets. And Joshua Joy, I'll give you a like for this because I do like this. Out of all these stats that we've talked about for Ryan Tannehill, the best stat of them all, and it wasn't an option, so you couldn't say that, is the eye test. Am I right? So yeah. Josh, hey, you're getting the love of the show for that, big dog. I like that. I know you didn't answer the question, but Joshua, you are getting the love of the show for that. I like that comment.
Yeah, the eye test is real, and the eye test is passing because Ryan Tannehill, I'll just say this. I mean, we weren't going to discuss it much, but Ryan Tannehill should have been the offensive player of the month of the AFC instead of Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry had a phenomenal game against the Texans where he had the 94-yard touchdown run, and he scored 5 touchdowns in 3 games in the month of October. But Ryan Tannehill had 2 4-touchdown games in October and then had a really good opportunity in how he played against the Steelers in the second half. I thought Ryan Tannehill could have easily been the AFC offensive player of the month when Derrick Henry won it, I think, because of that 94-yard touchdown run. That's why Derrick Henry got it. But Tannehill was better against the Bills, and Tannehill was better against the Steelers as well. And that's the crazy thing that this Titans team is in. They're in a spot where they legitimately have 2 player of the year candidates on their team for the AFC, for the NFL, and Derrick Henry started the MVP chant when it comes to Ryan Tannehill this season.
Yeah, and look, it's a good problem to have when you're deciding who should be the best offensive player of the month.
Yeah, and Elizabeth's right. It's because Derrick Henry is making his way into the mainstream media, and Tannehill is not. That's absolutely the correct answer. Because
and that's why he's the most respected person in the Titans organization.
I think Mike Vrabel league wide in NFL
definitely
circles.
Not. Yeah, definitely not.
If you talk about NFL circles are all pro Mike Vrabel.
But we didn't talk about NFL circles.
That's
we talked about America. Who respects the person the most in the Titans organization?
It's Mike Vrabel.
22, King Henry, all the way to the end zone.
Let's see. Miles says Henry's leading in rushing yards by a full game, but has played 1 less game. No, the stats are great, but we know that Derrick Henry was not efficient until he blew up for 212 yards against the Texans. And Elizabeth add, it's all about the image. Jathan says Vrabel's not on Old Spice. Yeah, because head coaches don't get endorsements. Like
that's wrong. Bill Belichick endorses Subway. Watch the TV.
I don't watch TV.
But that's on you.
Bill Belichick endorses Subway?
Yeah.
That's a terrible.
You watch TV, you watch sports. It's on there all the time.
Yeah, but when commercials pop up, I go to Twitter. that's the way I watch sports on TV. But that's weird. That's a weird thing for Subway to do that for Bill Belichick. He seems like
Nick Saban also endorses Aflac.
Well, that's Nick Saban. He's in college. We're talking about the NFL. We're not talking about college. We're talking about the NFL.
Well, I've already given you NFL.
That's fine. A to Z Sports here live on a Titans Thursday. I've got a gut feeling about the Titans fan base and how they're viewing this Bengals game. And Zach, you said you got a feeling about how this Bengals game is going to go. So we'll discuss that. Is the Titans fan base counting this Bengals game as an automatic win? But first, let me tell you guys about Mandu, an automatic win of a workout. Mandu.com is where to go for your first free workout, Mandu.com. It's a 15-minute workout that simulates 5+ hours in the weight room. You get a full body workout. You're not skipping leg day. You're not skipping any muscle group. You're getting it all in 15 minutes because of the science of full body electronic muscle stimulation. It is the best workout I've ever done. And I do it twice a week because it's that good. Mandu.com. It's only by appointment, so it's great during the pandemic as well. Mandu.com. Your first workout's free. You have no choice but to try it.
A to Z Sports, we still got to get to who's the king of the burger. Will Compton had a really funny video. There's the first video I watched this morning when I got up. We'll disclose that and show you that video. But before we do, we got to talk about Bengals Titans and talk about you winning money with code MyTitans at mybookie.ag. We partner with them this season. Double your first deposit by going to mybookie.ag, typing in code MyTitans, signing up, takes 2 seconds. You put in $20, boop, all of a sudden you got $40. That didn't make any sense. It does with mybookie.ag, code MyTitans.
All right, so I feel like the Titans fan base is viewing this as an automatic win against the Bengals just because that's just how I feel about the buzz about the game. This time last week, there was so much talk about the Steelers matchup, right? It was how can the Titans O-line hold up against TJ Watt and Bud Dupree? It's Ben Roethlisberger and the wide receivers versus the Titans defense. Can Clowney bounce back and finally get a sack? He didn't. But there was so much talk about that, and really there has been nothing coming out of the Titans facility about the matchup between the Bengals and the Titans. Now, it's polar opposites. 1-5-1 versus the 5-0 teams going into last week. But I honestly feel like the Titans fan base expects this to be a win because the Bengals are banged up. They're injured. Yeah, Burrow's put up a lot of points the last couple of weeks. But this game is not necessarily an automatic win whatsoever.
No, I think the statistics show you the Bengals are getting better. I watch the Bengals. I'm going to be watching more Dolphins game as well because I'm fascinated with. I even tried to trade for their running back to just make me watch them more. But for the Bengals, if you look at the statistics, here's my hot take. This is going to be a one-score game. Stats show that. And if you watch the Bengals this year, every single game has been a one-score game besides the blowout loss to the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore.
Maybe even had a tie. That was a no-score game.
Right? But it's within one score. So, right? Yeah. The Chargers, we all know, Randy Bullock hurt himself, didn't really hurt himself, missed the kick to tie the game. The Browns, second week of the season, on Thursday night, that was a 5-point game. The Eagles, as you mentioned, they tied. The Jags, they beat Minshew and company against Jacksonville. They lost to the Ravens. The Colts, they blew the lead. The Browns, they blew the lead. The Bengals are not – they're a lot better with this quarterback than they were last year with Andy Dalton and whoever the hell else they were putting in. And the year before that, they have to get a better roster in the years coming. They're in rebuild mode. But what it tells me this Sunday, and the Titans are a much better team than the Cincinnati Bengals. It should be a blowout. It should be closer to what the Titans did to the Bills. But the Bengals, their offense, he has ignited their offense. A.J. Green the last 2 weeks, over 100 yards. He looks like the A.J. Green of old. And T. Higgins, all you Vol fans that couldn't get T. Higgins when he went to Clemson, number 85 looking like Ocho Cinco this year. So open your eyes to the Bengals. They have a ton of injuries, which will benefit the Titans. But I think it could be a one-score game because that's what it is. You can't look past this Bengals team. You should beat them, but can't.
It's kind of – they kind of look like a poor man's Titans because the offense is getting better. Like the Bengals have the 13th best passing attack in the NFL. The Titans have the 26th ranked pass defense. Joe Mixon did not practice, so we don't know what his situation is for Sunday. We'll see how that goes throughout the week. But the Bengals defense is allowing 133 rushing yards per game. The last time a defense played the Titans that had similar stats, Derrick Henry ran for 212. And the Bengals pass defense is 25th in the NFL, which is actually one spot better than the Titans. So I expect high scoring, but there is an opportunity for the Titans defense to kind of get right against a young quarterback. And BMO had a good comment on YouTube earlier that I saw where the game seems to be slowing down for Joe Burrow. And the problem with the Titans pass defense is they're not disguising their coverages. They're giving you what they're doing before the snap because they don't trust their corners and they're playing so far off the ball. If Adoree Jackson can play Sunday, does that help the ability to disguise coverages that throws Joe Burrow off? Because if Joe Burrow knows you're going to be in cover 3 or man with 2 top safeties, then he's going to be able to figure out how to beat you after the snap if he can tell that beforehand. So I think that's a good chess game and matchup to watch is how does Adoree Jackson manipulate the ability for the Titans to disguise their coverages against Joe Burrow. And maybe that leads into a bad pass and a misread for a pick like Malcolm Butler did against Josh Allen.
Yeah, and Joe Burrow you could see the game, as you said, is slowing down for him. He has all the ability. I mean, everybody saw him last year against for LSU have that historic season and LSU is the best college football team in college football history last year. And he led that team and did an unbelievable job. He needs better protection. His offensive line is not good. That's the one thing we talk about Clowney and Landry and Big Jeff. This is the game that they can eat on a rookie quarterback. But on the other side, the Cincinnati Bengals offense is trying to get the ball out of his hands a lot quicker. They've struggled to do that because when they've been behind late in games, you don't have that luxury, right? You have to have downfield throws. So I'm this front four for the Titans. I look at that and I say, how can they get after Joe Burrow? Because a lot of teams have been able to sack the quarterback against the Bengals.
Yeah, and they're missing offensive linemen due to injury, and they're having to sign Quentin Spain and trade for an offensive lineman from Seattle who won't be able to play against the Titans. So Sean's right. Pass rush needs to apply some pressure here for sure. And Deontay says, if the Titans still have Dean Pease, you'd blow out Cincinnati. And I don't disagree with either of those things, and they're going to have to find a way to do that on Sunday for sure.
So here's a good question. We had a commenter, I mentioned Chad Ochocinco, who I find so intriguing. The question was, why haven't the Bengals retired number 85? Because T. Higgins has 85. And that's why I think the Bengals need new uniforms, because I don't like watching 85 because it reminds me of Ochocinco. Ochocinco, Chad Johnson, whatever the hell his name is, he played 11 seasons in the NFL. The last one with New England, he almost played for Miami, but he screwed up, domestic violence or whatever. How many 1,000-yard seasons out of his 11 years playing in the NFL do you think he had, Austin?
I'm going to go with 9.
9 would be incredible. He had 7.
Okay.
But so 7, I mean, he's not a Hall of Famer.
Right. That's why his jersey's not retired.
And that's why his jersey's right there. Yeah, so that's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah. It takes a lot to retire a uniform in the NFL. There's not many that are done.
I mean, is Frank Wycheck's?
No. The only 2 jerseys the Titans have retired are McNair and Eddie. That's it. There might be actually one Oilers, but I can't remember. But like there are names in the ring of 34 is able to be worn, I believe.
Maybe it's just 2.
And Warren Moon, I don't think he's retired because I've seen
they just have that crap ass Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor. The Ring of Honor doesn't mean it's retired.
Did they change that yet, or do they still have those bad bands?
I honestly can't tell you.
Well, nobody knows because not many people are in the stadium.
Well, and I haven't been to the stadium since like last preseason to look at that. I can't. I think you can wear 34. Anyway, A to Z Sport. There are some numbers that have not been worn for a while. But they're not officially retired by any means. A to Z Sports here live on a Titans Thursday. Let's get to the conversation of the day when it came to social media around the Titans yesterday, and that is the king of burgers. Derrick Henry with a hot take about burgers. Will Compton took it to video, and we're going to find out how we feel about this and put our spin on it. But first, Zach, tell the people about the Tucker Agency.
Yeah, TuckerTN.com. They can help you save money on your insurance, homeowners insurance, car insurance, renter's insurance, life insurance. They have your policy. You just don't know it yet. You don't probably know how much you're paying either. Well, you can find that out by emailing will@tuckertn.com. That's will@tuckertn.com. He'll help you out. Him and his team will go and research and say, what is the best policy for you? All you have to do is email him and say, hey, heard about you on A to Z Sports. How do I save money on my insurance? He'll help you out. I promise you. It's really, really easy. If you want money back in your pocket this holiday season, there's really no reason not to. will@tuckertn.com.
All right, A to Z Sports here live on a Titans Thursday talking about these burger things. So, Zach, I'll let you set the stage for the conversation that went back and forth between Derrick Henry and Will Compton, and then we'll play Will Compton's video.
Yeah, so we saw this morning, and then Compton, kudos to Compton for social media. This was very, very intriguing because he kind of took us inside the locker room, and supposedly Derrick Henry, and he tweeted this out, said they were asking what's the best burger. Derrick Henry said the number one at Wendy's, make it a double. So Compton's like, well, let's put our money where our mouth is. And he actually went to Wendy's. Here's the video of him actually figuring out if King Henry is the king of deciding what the best burger is.
All right, here we go. Just got the Wendy's, pulled up, ordered a number one, make it a double, like you said, Derrick. So give you guys a little context, we go in the locker room after practice. Guys are having a great time, we're having fun. We kept doing practice, we had a good little practice. All of a sudden, there's a lot of yelling going on. You know, a lot of yelling. Somebody stirred up the brothers. They was talking about what the best burger was. I intervened. You hear the usual. In and Out, Whataburger, Five Guys. No free shout-outs, of course. Locally, you heard Hugh Babies. Shout out Hugh Babies. And then all of a sudden, you hear Wendy's. And Derrick thinks Wendy's is the best burger in America. So I was like, yo, you know what? I'm going to Wendy's right after practice, and I'm going to order a number one, make it a double. Here's what we got here. Nice, hefty feeling burger. Got a Dr. Pepper, but can't drink it. I'm on a diet. So here we go. Derrick, if you don't take your ass to Five Guys, dude. Hey, I won't disrespect Wendy's. It's a solid fast food burger. Fast, like, but this ain't. This is not messing with any of the other ones we're talking about. I mean, throw Shake Shack in there. Shake Shack better than this. I'm going to eat it because I'm going to eat it. Hey, but this is not messing. Derrick, this is not messing with Five Guys. This is not messing with In and Out. It's not messing with Whataburger. It's not messing with Shake Shack. Hey, I don't know, man. Y'all need to figure this shit out. Diet starts Monday.
So my two favorite parts about the video were, I mean, I'm going to eat it, and then diet starts Monday. But that's Will Compton there. I definitely think Derrick Henry is absolutely incorrect. That Compton saying it's a solid fast food burger, but it's fast food. Fast food is always below everything else. Like, it can win the best fast food, but it's still not the best food by far. So, Zach, what's your thoughts on this?
So my first thought was, and it's a catch-22, and Mookie brings it up.
Is that did you mean to do that catch-22 as we're talking about Derrick Henry's favorite burger?
Oh, no, that was just that just happened.
Okay.
But Mookie brings up, never open up the burger, just dive into it. And that's a dangerous game if you don't like a certain condiment. Like, I'm anti-mayo guy, so I always have to open up the burger. But
Right.
If you order a fast food burger and you open it up, you realize it looks nothing like what the menu looked like or what the commercial looked like, right? It is literally at the worst, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can see people at their best, and then you see people at their worst. When you actually get a fast food burger, that's at their worst. I disagree with Derrick Henry. I don't go to Wendy's. I only go to really probably two fast food restaurants. That's Chick-fil-A and Sonic, which we'll talk about here in a second. But I think that's pretty crazy that he thinks that Wendy's is the best burger. Five Guys is really good. It is. It's really good with the toppings. I get jalapenos on there. But I just feel like death after I eat one of their burgers because grease makes it good. Good while eating. The aftermath is a struggle.
So Jay says everyone in Tennessee knows about the Sonic double, but it never comes up in the convo. So
except for now, Jay.
Right, yeah. So Zach, I'll let you jump off with your opinion about Sonic.
The best burger. And the other thing is, my guy, AJ Brown, came out and he responded to this and he says Sonic. The Sonic double supersonic cheeseburger is the best burger, period. It is. It's unbelievable. It is delectable, and it doesn't make you feel like trash afterwards. And they usually get it correct because they have a right setup. They're efficient. My favorite cheeseburger, if I was in the locker room talking to the guys, I would bring up the supersonic cheeseburger. That's my number one burger.
So you remember, this is when I was in high school, and Sonic had a deal where on Tuesdays after 5, you could get 5 burgers for $1 a piece. Do you remember that deal?
Yes.
So what I would do, and a lot of my high school buddies would do, is that we would go buy Sonic every Tuesday and get 5 of those burgers, eat 2 that night, and then bring 2 for lunch at school the next day, and we'd have Sonic Burger Wednesdays. So
the problem was, and I figured this out real quick, is it's $5 for hamburgers. Well, I don't like hamburgers.
Yeah,
I like
you gotta add
cheeseburgers.
Yeah, and you know what's, and I'm a weird person too, because I actually thought those Sonic burgers the next day cold was good. I like the Sonic burger cold.
And you were in high school?
Yeah, I was like, this is right when I got my driver's license.
Right.
So like,
you hadn't experienced enough life.
Right. Exactly. So Marco says Sonic burgers usually are usually a little soggy. BMO says, I remember on football trips, our coach would get a brown bag special. So I also, after high school football games, me and a buddy used to go to Wendy's because it was the last thing that stayed open in Brentwood after a high school football game. So here's the thing about this conversation. I have not had a beef burger in over 4 years now. And so I can't really compete, or I can't have much of an opinion in this conversation. The last piece of beef that I've eaten was a Whataburger burger in College Station, Texas.
Yeah, I was about to say you had to be in Texas.
The last beef I've had was Whataburger in Texas the Sunday after the Tennessee Texas A&M game, where I got punched in the face that weekend, and then I had a half a tooth. So that at that point, I had that burger, and I realized that I no longer needed beef in my life.
So was that? I mean, you were at a low point in your life right there, right? You just gotten punched in the face.
I was
your tooth
hungover,
was messed up.
punched in the face with a Band-Aid over my nose, had a half a tooth, and I was on a road trip, and it did not sit well. And so at that point in my life, I had already started dialing back a lot of my meat.
And you've never eaten a piece of meat since?
Beef. Now, there's a difference. Yes. So
beef, you're right.
At that point, I had given up beef. I had been very close to being done with beef and pork. And that Whataburger burger made me go, yeah, you know what? I'm done with beef. It makes me feel like ass. And that burger sucked. And so I moved on from it. And so I have not had beef or pork since that early October Sunday driving through the state of Texas and having Whataburger hungover as hell.
Also, I'll be honest with you. Yesterday, we went to a lunch meeting together, and we went to True Foods in Green Hills.
Yeah.
You know, it's very like, how do you describe it?
It's
health
clean,
conscious.
Clean. It's very clean.
Clean eating, health conscious, whatever. That burger was dynamic.
You didn't say a single word. Now, we were at a very important meeting.
Right.
So
but
you did not say a word.
It was so good. It was delicious. You could tell the grass-fed beef. I mean, that was an upscale burger. It was an expensive burger. It's probably like $15, right? So you better bring the heat if you getting a $15 burger. They brought the heat. I mean, I love burgers. I love cooking burgers myself, right? I would rather cook a burger myself on the grill than go out and I think I can cook a better burger. But this is a very interesting, the Wendy's thing, man. I think a little bit differently about the King if he's getting a double number 1 at Wendy's and saying that's what he's riding and die with.
Yeah. And that's interesting too, because Derrick Henry cares about his body. His body is his money. And the fact that he believes that hard in Wendy's, maybe that's just him being 25 years old. And maybe he hasn't gotten to that point in his career yet where he realizes that the Wendy's is not the way to go.
He's 26.
26, right.
But God dang, he's 26 years old.
It's just year 5.
I think that's more mind-blowing is that Derrick Henry is only 26 years old. And as you know, as you get older, these football players get younger, right?
Yeah.
And so that I think is mind-blowing to me as a 33-year-old. This dude is 26. I mean, he looks like, he's just a different specimen, right? I mean, he's a freak physically.
Yep.
It's like, standing next to LeBron James at 6'8", you're like, this guy, I don't know who this guy is.
Or what he is. A to Z Sports here live.
Or how he got here.
Yeah. We got the Magic Bucket coming up. It's my sticker week, and I've got a theme sticker for today's show. So Magic Bucket coming up, brought to you by BioPure Music City. But real quick, let me tell you about the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. If you have that injury that happens to either you or someone you know, someone you love, make sure you or they get the best care possible from beginning to the end of the process. And the Bone and Joint Institute has that for you. They do everything in their one beautiful, huge building, state-of-the-art building in Franklin, Tennessee, boneandjointtn.org. Later today at 11 o'clock, we've got a Doc Talk segment coming up, and we'll learn some more about the process of rehab that Taylor Lewan is about to start as he just finished his ACL surgery on Tuesday. So looking for that. We're going to have a fun Magic Bucket, but also a fun Doc Talk here coming up in a couple hours.
Yeah, we'll discuss, what the timetable is of an offensive lineman. We also know a little bit more information about Taylor Lewan's injury because he told us that through his bussing with the boys, and just because he's been open and honest about it. And so I think we can get a good – and Taylor Lewan's important to this franchise, right? They pay him a lot of money, and they're going to miss him the rest of the season. I'm sure he's going to miss being there the rest of the season. So 11 o'clock appointment listing. Make sure your live notifications are on. Also, make sure you check out MyBookie, code MyTitans.
All right, so Jarrell, I'm trying to find the comment. Jarrell says, what's the Magic Bucket? Jarrell, it must be. I think Jarrell's new as of like this week.
I think Jarrell is new. Well, welcome to the show, Jarrell. Because
welcome to the show.
Thursdays we pick from the Magic Bucket, and the only thing you need to know is the Magic Bucket's gonna do what the Magic Bucket's gonna do.
That's absolutely right. The Magic Bucket brought to you by BioPure Music City. Don't protect your crew from the flu with BioPure Music City to have them come out to your home or your office for a free consultation. Hit them up at 615-635-0555. That's 615-635-0555 to disinfect your home or your office. BioPure Music City, changing the standard to clean. So here is the Magic Bucket for Jarrell. See, there's the BioPure sticker right there. Then we've also got a lot of stickers. Stay off the weed, Stephen A.
Stay off the weed, Jarrell.
We got the Dumb and Dumber worms there. We got the Magic and Me, and we got the Chappelle Show Dare sticker, this gross Mississippi sticker, and welcome to Flavortown. So we just talked about burgers, and we just talked about Derrick Henry, Zach. So it is my sticker week this week. So the Flavortown set me up, and Derrick Henry allowed me to knock it down. So my sticker is what Derrick Henry's life motto is, and that is that nobody cares, work harder. Nobody cares, work harder. That's going on the bucket. So appropriate because we've talked about Derrick Henry and his burgers this morning, and he's Offensive Player of the Month in the AFC. So that makes
I love it. That's one of my favorite mottos.
There it is. Nobody cares, work harder. Zach, you'll have your sticker next week. Okay, now I am pulling for me first for the bucket. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
We're going to get it. We're going to get God.
This is for me. I think I have not done this. You have done this before, but this is a submission from my wife. So tomorrow I have to refer to you on the show as master, and you get to refer to me as peasant.
Yes. Yes. It's going to be a good Friday.
Yeah. So tomorrow
you can scrap it, but that's
it's done now because we've both done this now.
Oh, peasant.
Tomorrow you are Master Zach, and I am peasant. So Jarrell, this is the Magic Bucket. This is what it is right here. We do weird stuff like that. And if you guys want to submit an entry for the Magic Bucket, you can absolutely do that. Slide into our DMs on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. And next time we fill up the Magic Bucket, we can add your submissions. So brought to you by BioPure Music City. Protect your crew from the flu with BioPure. Call BioPure Music City to have your home or business disinfected. Phone number right there on your screen, 615-635-0555. All right, so I've got Zach's in my hand. I've already done. I did this too recent.
Have I done this?
No, you have not done this, but I did this really recently.
What is that?
So it's, and so I don't know if we need to pull again or not. Name all 32 starting quarterbacks. For the ones you don't get right, you have to pay me $1.
Okay, so I mean, the starting quarterbacks don't change that often. I mean, there are some.
We did this. I think we did this 3 weeks ago.
Well, if you want to find another, you can pick another category that I'll have to achieve. Did you got all 32, correct?
Yeah. It took me a while, but I got there.
I think, well, see, because there's a difference. I could name all 32 starting quarterbacks. You know what would be difficult? I don't know if I could name all 32 head coaches.
You want to do that?
I can try it. Look, again, I don't the money thing I don't really care about, but I kind of want to try it.
All right. So let me pull up the NFL head coaches so we can have a map here. Just to check off of list of current NFL head coaches. All right. So how do you want to go about this?
I'm just going to go through the AFC. I mean, I know all the teams. Okay. So Bill Belichick, Brian Flores, Adam Gase, and Sean McDermott.
AFC
you have,
AFC East done.
Yeah. So then you have John Harbaugh, Zach Taylor, Kevin Stefanski, Mike Tomlin. Romeo Crennel, Frank Wright, Doug Marrone, Mike Vrabel.
All right, you're at 12.
This is where it's going to get tough because Vic Fangio doesn't coach the Denver Broncos anymore. So Andy Reid, John Gruden, and I can see this guy's face for the Chargers. I'll come back. So I've got the Broncos and the Chargers. Mike McCarthy, Joe Judge, Doug Peterson, Ron Rivera.
You're at 18, and you're missing the Broncos and Chargers.
Yeah. Matt Nagy, fat guy from Detroit. I'll come back to him. LaFleur, Mike Zimmer.
So that's 21.
Raheem Morris, Bruce Arians, Matt Rule, Sean McVay, or excuse me, Sean. We talked about him.
Hold on. So you just went Falcons, Bucks, Saints really quick, right?
Well, I didn't do Saints. That's what I'm stuck on. I did Panthers. Matt Rule. It's Sean McVay.
What team are you trying to do?
The Saints. I have it. It's Sean. I'm coming back to that. Why am I drawing a blank?
So you're at 24. You have not done Saints, Lions, Broncos, Chargers.
Cliff Kingsbury. You've got Kyle Shanahan and Pete Carroll and Sean McVay. So, this is now.
Now you're at 28. Right?
I can see all of their names.
So you're at 28. You need Saints, Chargers, Broncos, Lions. Those are the four you're missing. $4 on the line.
I know two of them like 100%.
So who?
The Lions and the Saints, I know, and I'm just drawing. You know when you're like you have a blank?
Yeah, that happened to me with Lamar Jackson, which is equally funny because you've got one that's really obvious, and he's not looking at the comments. So the comments.
No, I'm not. I don't cheat.
No, right.
Greg Williams, Bounty Gate, Drew Brees, and
All right. Move away from the Saints and come back to it.
Matt Patricia.
Matt Patricia. All right, you're at
Jesus.
29. You're at 29.
I cannot. I don't know the Broncos coach. He's new. I don't know the Broncos coach. Sean. It's not McDermott. Sean McVay. Sean. Why am I an idiot?
The guy's like a Hall of Famer. And
I know.
And Nate's like, you're on Sportscast.
Is his name Sean?
Yes. So you're at 29 and a half.
I know his name's Sean. Sean.
He got COVID.
I know. I can see the guy's face.
We talked about him earlier in the show.
Yeah, you made. I need to run the tape. Sean.
It's so funny.
I'm gonna just kill myself.
So you've also got the Chargers,
and I know what that guy looks like. He's got a gray beard.
He does.
I'm not gonna be able to give it.
So you owe me $3.
Peyton, God dang it!
So did you look at it?
Yeah, I did. Ronnie,
Sean Payton,
Anthony Lynn, and Vic. I said Vic Fangio.
Yeah, but you said he's not, so that doesn't count.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, you owe me $3.
The Peyton thing is ridiculous. You know how, that is so stupid. How can I get through all of those? I'm Anthony Lynn. I don't think I would have gotten. I'm gonna say I got Vic Fangio, even though I didn't.
No, you did not get it because you said.
Well, again, I don't care about the money. I knew what it was, but Peyton, that is the most. That is hard to swallow.
It's tough. Yeah,
that's like, is this a prank? Yeah. I mean, I felt like it was.
And Nate's over here talking about how you're a sportscaster and you don't know Sean Payton. Like, he obviously knows who Sean Payton is. Hey, Nate, I guarantee you, if we put you on live video and just start making you listen stuff, you're gonna
You'd crumble like a house of cards.
Exactly. All right. So I get $3. I'll take it.
I like doing that. I like doing that. We should come up with more. You know, what'd be really tough is running backs.
Yeah, well, because it's like, co-starters and stuff. And who's injured and all that. That's tough. Who's
stuff. The running back for the Miami Dolphins?
I don't know.
Right? That's tough.
I have no idea. No clue. No clue. But the Dolphins are playing pretty well. So, Rob says, name all women's bikini basketball players. Go. Deandra Sanders. Done. Got it. All right, guys.
Miles Gaskin is his name. And you better watch out.
From? Miles Gaskin's from?
Don't know.
Washington Huskies.
Interesting.
I knew that, but I didn't know he played for the Dolphins. So, all right, guys. Thanks for watching. Great show on this Thursday. We'll be back. Friday show between Master Zach and Peasant Austin. So that'll be a fun show. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you later on. Buck Rising back tonight, A to Z Sports Primetime as well. So we'll see you later.
Sean freaking Payton. Adios.